We come to the last part of our closing session, and on behalf of the organizers, UNU-FLORES, TU Dresden, and IOER, we would like to thank Professor Lal for his wrap-up and mainly food for thoughts for the future and for the next DNC conference. We thank him, and also I would like to share with you that in the very last part, we have closing remarks from BMUB, another federal ministry for environment, nature conservation, building, and nuclear safety. And this is a very positive signal, thanking you as active participants of the conference that 3 federal ministries of Germany, BMBF and BMZ in the opening, and also BMUB coming from Bonn to welcome you, to thank you, and to appreciate the collective work of all of the active participants and stakeholders. I would like to invite a representative of Ministry of Environment, BMUB, Ms. Klinger-Dering, for her closing remark, and then after that, a very quick remarks from your co-organizers to thank you all.
Thank you indeed for the invitation and for the opportunity to make some closing remarks on behalf of the German Federal Environment Ministry here and today. But first of all, already my sincere congratulations for this very successful conference and for inviting and attracting so many representatives from the scientific community all over the world to the beautiful city of Dresden, and to focus on the Nexus perspective, which is on the very heart of the Federal Environment Ministry and the German government. Looking back on the past 3 days, I can confirm, at least from the plenaries and sessions which I participated, that there were very rich and interesting discussions with lively interactions and with many important messages from the different countries. We can see that a lot has been done since the Bonn 2011 Nexus Conference, which was organized by our ministry and the Federal Ministry for Development of Germany, and which marked the starting point in those days to the Nexus discussions, and which was followed by a variety of other activities thanks to the commitment and actions of many other actors, amongst them today's conference. However, a lot still needs to be done. I would very much like to briefly comment on just 3 main challenges and messages from this conference which strike me. And later on, I would like to briefly point out where we stand with our Nexus activities in the ministry. The first message I would like to point out was the call for taking a systems view on the challenges. This is very critical. There is an increasing complexity of the issues on global level which needs to be untangled. We definitely need to better understand the diverse linkages, the drivers, the trade-offs, and the opportunities between the different sectors, and thus to enable decision makers to take better informed decisions, be it government, be it industry, or other actors. It is clear that one part of the solution will be to improve the knowledge platform, increase the knowledge transfer, and strengthen the capacity building, which are the main activities also of UNU-FLORES and Technische Universität Dresden. The main partner for the government in doing so is the scientific community, but not only. There is a strong need for policymakers themselves to create the political framework and to fill the critical gaps, and there are still some around. The second message of the conference, which I would like to stress, is the pressing need for a comprehensive solution. Indeed, complex problems as those we are facing need complex solutions. There is no need to simplify. We have to learn that there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all solution for global issues. What we rather need are multi-level cross-sectoral solutions which are tailored to the specific needs of the people on the regional and municipal level. It is all about the change of paradigms and the change in the mindsets. This is a comprehensive governance task which we are facing, which requires political will and political ownership on the highest political level. We will not manage to do all of this without the participation of all stakeholders at an early planning stage. The third message, and probably the most important one which I would like to stress and which I will take home personally, was the call of several participants for engaging the human dimension. Today's problems cannot be solved by technology or science alone. They are instead human problems of governance, leadership, and social resilience. Sustainability is a collective issue that demands for collective solutions with the involvement of the individuals. It will be key to build social capacity to solve the local problems through participatory actions, empowerment of women, or linking traditional or indigenous know-how with modern scientific and technical approaches, just to mention some of the important issues. Having these three challenges in mind, the Nexus perspective is, from our point of view, and I'm happy that you shared it with us today, a viable tool to give proper guidance. But the elephant in the room is still how to bring the Nexus on the ground. For national governments, the role is to create the necessary political framework and to fill the critical gaps for its implementation. Germany, the Environment Ministry, and our partners, we are proceeding twofold. On the one hand, we are about to integrate the Nexus in our national strategies, in our case, in the National Environment Strategy, which gives the framework for action in all sectors. The next step will be to integrate the Nexus into our National Sustainability Strategy, which is being hosted in the Federal Chancellery. On the other hand, we are very much focusing on the international activities. Our main activities concentrate on efforts on the global level in the framework of regional activities, but also on the UN level. Our main partners are the UNECE or the OECD, but the emphasis of the negotiations lie with the post-2015 negotiations for a new set of Sustainable Development Goals for the next 15 years. So 2015 will be decisive with the planned adoption of the set of goals and targets. Germany has actively supported the negotiations and the works of the Open Working Group on a proposal which is now on the table and which considers the results also of our aspects. Specifically, the inclusion of a dedicated goal for water is a way forward. Regarding the Nexus, Germany also supports the idea of the Open Working Group to take water into account within other goals, such as the one for health, sustainable consumption and production, cities and human settlements, ecosystems and oceans. We now push for creating additional links with other goals, such as gender or climate change, on the other hand, and for elaborating indicators with a multidisciplinary approach. The challenge is to close the loop between the various sectors towards comprehensive sustainable targets and indicators. So the indicator work is right now the most prominent part of our work. Another priority of our work is to make sure that the future set of goals and targets is properly monitored and assessed. There is a need for consented indicators to monitor the targets. Germany is involved also in respective processes on UN level. Furthermore, we are spearheading activities to improve the collection and the dissemination of data in the area of water quality. For example, by hosting since April 2015 a global monitoring program called GEMS Water in Germany. This brings me to my last point, which is the crucial role academia plays in the SDG process. As a think tank and with its interdisciplinary institutions like UNU-FLORES, the Technische Universität Dresden and the Leibniz Institute of Ecological, Urban and Regional Development, these are important partners for the government. But it is the whole global scientific community which is at the core of sustainable development. Your work in your areas of capacity are attribute to the capacity building and the knowledge transfer, which are indispensable in our common effort to achieve sustainable development. We count on all of you and thank you for taking the decision to participate today and for being with us here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for continued support of your ministry. We appreciate very much very careful consideration and your active participation in our sessions. So, colleagues, now we come to very last part of our first conference, DNC 2015, which is the time for word of thanks from your organizers. So I would like to invite my colleague, Professor Karl-Heinz Feger, Dean of Faculty of Environmental Sciences of TU Dresden, for his closing remarks.
So, thank you, Reza. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to close the first Dresden Nexus Conference, let me just say a few words on behalf of TU Dresden as one of the three organizers of this conference. First of all, I should state that in many perspectives, this has not been a normal conference. Insofar, launching such a cross-cutting conference has been a real challenge and, to be honest, also an experiment. For sure, the DNC represents a new type of scientific meeting, which in fact requires a special format. The Nexus approach to the sustainable management of water, soil and waste integrates science, which traditionally is split into many disciplines with their own tradition and methodology. And believe me, I'm dean of a faculty, I know what is meant dealing with so many disciplines. But we have also to serve environmental management, so practitioners and the governments across sectors and scales. However, the definition and implementation of sustainable development goals is not an easy task. Ecological, economic, as we also heard, ethical, social, and very often also political aspects have to be considered. All this needs communication between scientists from various disciplines, but also practitioners, managers, administrators, and decision makers. The impressive number of more than 400 participants from over the world and the vivid discussions in the sessions, panels, poster sessions, but also in the breaks demonstrate that our experiment has not been in vain. In fact, the DNC has proven its capability to form an appropriate platform to cope with the complex nature of sustainable resource management in a quickly changing world. Today I've used the opportunity to speak to a number of participants, how they have experienced the conference. The feedback that I have received throughout has been very positive. So it appears that the first Dresden Nexus Conference has been, by all accounts, a successful and productive conference. Let me draw 3 personal conclusions as a scientist. First, I guess the conference has shown that science represents the sound basis for the Nexus concept. I just recall the statements by Joseph Alcamo in his keynote and Rabbi Mokhtar in his wrap-up of day 1. They both emphasized the importance of theoretical concepts and the crucial role of research, even basic research. In their keynotes, they made clear that we have to think in systems. We have to understand the processes and the factors which control them. But to do this in a logical way and to be effective, this also means that we have to define the borders of our systems. Therefore, dealing with the nexus is much more than just talking about the fact that everything is connected and related to everything. Or with Peter Krebs, who mentioned in the panel discussion of day 2, when addressing the nexus, we have to be specific with the systems we are addressing. And this has also to consider the appropriate scales in space and time. My second impression from the conference, the discussion has shown that our Dresden Nexus approach has a high scientific potential and is relevant if it comes to solve practical problems, or to say that in a more academic way, we have to connect our science with the human dimension. Third and last point, when we talk about the Dresden Nexus, this means that we focus on the nexus between water, soil, and waste. Of course, in the current worldwide nexus debate, there are many other nexuses or nexi. In particular, food and energy are crucial nexus components. But of course, both should be considered, but in the context of water, soil, and waste, only if necessary and just at a level of detail that is needed. A special role in the Dresden Nexus plays the soil. And I don't say that because I'm a soil scientist or because this year we celebrate the International Year of the Soil, so we have the logo put on the wall. The water, its fluxes and cycling, water security and water availability, including both amount and quality, are closely linked to the functioning of soil. And I'm saying this not only because I'm a soil scientist. I think Professor Lahl mentioned also that we should have a closer look to the soil as a natural system and the interaction of soils in the landscape. Also, waste that forms the third component in the Dresden Nexus is in many perspectives linked to the soil. In natural ecosystems, but also in agriculture and forestry, there is nothing like waste, or in a pure technical sense. There is just litter, there are organic residues, but those are subject to decomposition and recycling. Many of these processes take place in the soil. Only in technical or human-made systems, waste is produced, which may create serious problems to the environment, but also economy. The waste component hasn't been addressed so much during this conference. This might be an indication that there is still some small gap in our nexus approach. We may do more in this respect, and this might also be something which we should put on the agenda for future DNCs. So let me summarize in brief. The specific Dresden Nexus, soil, water, waste, appears to be something which has a huge potential, both scientifically and also in terms of transfer and application in the real world. During the conference, we had so many good and even outstanding contributions. Therefore, I would like to thank the speakers, panelists, facilitators, those who prepared posters, and of course all participants for your contributions in the discussion. All this together made your conference a real success. Let me finish my closing remarks with an outlook into the future. The DNC 2015 has been the first conference of a series of conferences to come in the next years. Of course, we have to refine both the format and structure of the conference. But as you all know, in the last 3 days, we have just started a journey And I think Reza used the picture in his opening. We entered a boat called Dresden Nexus. Together with the other two organizers, let me express the hope that all of you will stay on board. And of course, we expect your critical feedback. Please continue to share with us your ideas. And of course, this should also include those aspects from which you feel that they haven't been fine. Let me end my closing remarks with a nice quote by Oscar Wilde. Everything is going to be fine in the end, but it's not fine. If it's not fine, it's not the end. So let's jointly carry on working on the Nexus topic. Thank you all for coming to Dresden. Again, thank you for your excellent contributions to this conference. We count on your sustained commitment also in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karl-Heinz. Now I would like to invite Professor Bernhard Müller, Director of Leibniz Institute for Ecological, Urban and Regional Development, IOER.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I have talked a lot yesterday, so I will talk very short today. First of all, I'm happy that such a big crowd is really here until the last moments of the conference. And I would like to thank you very much for that. It shows your interest, and I'm glad about it, that we obviously, with this conference, we could meet your interest. We are one of the three organizers, the Leibniz Institute of Ecological, Urban and Regional Development. We are a rather large facility, research facility outside of the university with about 120 personnel. Here in Dresden, we are happy to team up with UNU-FLORES and the university. Our main purpose is research and policy advice regarding sustainable urban and regional development. And this is one of the topics, or the framework topic, which we have dealt here. We have created, together with the university, a graduate school, Dresden Leibniz Graduate School, which concentrated in the past very much on topics of resilience, but in the future will have as a major goal the research into issues related to one of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is coming up, goal number 11, which is dealing especially with urban development. On that background, I would like to mention that the Dresden Nexus Conference, of course, with the nexus of water, soil and waste, is an important event. It is an important topic, and it has been a great success. Professor Feger was mentioning that. I do not have to add anything to that. But still, and that's one of the purposes of such conferences, many questions remain, or maybe they have come much clearer to our mind. And one of the questions which came to my mind is, what is really the nexus? Thanks for your comment. Because from a theoretical point of view, we can look into systems theory. This is nothing new. If we look back into the 50s, systems theory had one of its highlights. If it's governance theory as well, it may not be something so new. If we look at Ellen Ostrom's work, if we look at many others, Bowling alone, and the question of social capital, all these questions come up here. And maybe when we talk about a nexus, we have to be very clear on what the nexus is and how the interrelations can be dealt with from a theoretical point of view. So I think there's some work to be done here. It is not at all clear what the outcome will be. The other question is, if we look into sustainable urban and regional development, then we have to ask the question, and I put it yesterday in the discussion, is the nexus concept just looking at water, soil, and waste maybe too broad? Maybe it's too narrow for dealing with climate change, for urbanization issues, for population growth, and so on. So we have to reflect on that. I think it's not at all clear, and we cannot be very secure on that. And then it comes to the point of integration. And we had a wonderful presentation this morning by our colleague Laszlo Miklas. He was talking about the integration, that integration is not at all an easy task. And therefore, I was mentioning governance theory. It's not at all an easy task, especially when it comes to implementation as well. So, just to quote you from this morning, there's a lot of resistance against integration thinking, comprehensive approaches in urban and regional development, in dealing with climate change, in dealing with population growth, in dealing with food supply, and so on. There are a lot of interests involved. Yesterday, we talked about mafias in providing infrastructure or services to people. There are political concerns involved. You mentioned that this morning as well, Laszlo Miklas. And there's the danger of simplifications, because when we do not know how to express the real nexus and the interconnectivity, we are sometimes tempted to look into simplifications, and it's not at all easy to find the right level of simplification. Many times we are in oversimplification, and many times we end up in just sectoral thinking again. And I think some of our discussion showed that as well. We have to think in that. So if we take all these aspects into consideration, there's a lot of tasks to deal with, a lot of work to be done in the future. And I'm happy that UNU-FLORES is here, which is dealing with this nexus. And of course, I wish our colleagues from UNU-FLORES good success in dealing with these interconnections, with the theoretical aspects on the one hand, with the practical implications on the other hand. I wish you good success. It's a very difficult task, and we from IOER are, like always, since UNU-FLORES has come to Dresden, very prepared and able and eager to join hands and to go on and to try to contribute to these answers, which hopefully can be found here in Dresden. With this, I would like to thank all the colleagues who have come here, who have presented, who have participated in discussions officially, but as well discussions informally. I think many new connections have been created, and I think this is a nexus as well which we need. I would like to thank the colleagues from UNU-FLORES who have put many things together here. I would like to thank very much the colleagues from TU Dresden, and I would like to thank, last but not least, our great team from Leibniz Institute of Ecological, Urban and Regional Development. You have done a great job. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor Müller. On behalf of UNU-FLORES, my closing remarks is just about 2-3 minutes not to be embarrassed, because I promise that we will finish before 6. I was thinking that when you count on yourself, and just on yourself, and then you make a promise, and then it happens, you enjoy a lot. But the enjoyment is much more when you count on many others and you make a promise. And we did so almost a year and a half ago about establishing this platform, mainly considering support of all of you. Look at here, about 40 organizations. I agree with Professor Müller that the first step of Nexus mindset is this one, bringing this different group from UN system, international organization, outside UN, universities, from, German-based institute, outside Germany, having participants from 65 countries. And very interesting aspects of your conference is that about 30% of participants who paid to participate in this conference, they had not any formal role in terms of presenting something or bringing a poster. It was based on their interest. It seems that we put our finger on the right point of establishing this platform. It's at the very beginning, and for sure with your support, we will continue, and we have lots of food for thoughts for the second DNC in the near future. At this moment, I would like to thank, on behalf of United Nations University, for sure support of the team of organizers, 3 institutes, but mainly the contributors, main contributors, the steering committee, scientific committee, all of the presenters, all of the poster developers and presenters, and whoever support this initiative so far, the authors of position papers that did a great job, and many colleagues behind the scenes. So just as an example and sample of the group, I would like to invite colleagues of the organizing committee who just come and show that not just during the last 3 days, but last about 500 days. This group were working hard together to make DNC 2015 a success and be a good host for this platform. So I would like to invite Professor Müller, Professor Feger, my colleagues, as well as the team of organizing committee, just to come here and we collectively thank all our participants. Please. Coming, please. Yeah, please. From TU Dresden, under leadership of Professor Feger, but practically Dr. Carsten Brackhage and his wonderful team, and under leadership of Professor Müller, under very active coordinator of Dr. Andreas Otto, who is for another task in Berlin today, and many other colleagues like Enrique. And from Flores, all of you know Kai Schwarzel. Kai, raise your hand for anyone that doesn't match the face and the name. For communication and advocacy, communication officer of all 3 institutes, but mainly Rachel Schindler from Flores, and for many other things. If I want to just name the people and their task, it will be another half an hour. So thank you so much. Thank you, colleagues.